Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Farul Izzat. This is a individual assignment which I have to do two comparative within two articles about money supply and its effects in formulating monetary policy. The analysis that I compare, the article that I compare is between the Bosnia and Herzegovina money supply and also Brazil money supply. From this article, I can see the two central banks' monetary approaches in handling monetary shocks that happen in both countries. Okay, this analysis of monetary approaches using endogenous as well as endogenous variable to identify the relationship between money supply and inflation rate, interest rate, and economic growth of one country. The impact of monetary variables can give better perspective on how the central bank and the government can alleviate the inflation pressures and control the money supply in the economy. The two schools of thought, namely monetarists and Keynesians, who have contradicting views on money supply. Monetarists emphasize the role of money supply in influencing the economic outcome, particularly in the inflationary effect, whilst the Keynesians believe that money supply is one main factor affecting the economy and tend to look into other perspective or approach in fiscal policy and aggregate demand. This article is to analyze comparative view on similarities and differences between the two journals in money supply. The first article entitled Money Supply, Inflation, Economic Growth in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and an empirical analysis by Branca. And the second article entitled Empirical Procedure to Evaluate Monetary Management under the Exogenous Changes in Money Supply by Barbosa. Both journals have highlighted money supply plays a major role in monetary policy making in one country to stabilize the economy due to monetary shock or due to inflationary shock. This comparative analysis, we can observe how both articles approach by employing empirical analysis to find the relationship between money supply with one monetary variables, either endogenous or exogenous. This comparative article is to analyze the views of two authors that uses empirical analysis in which relaying information to the monetary authority or the central bank in helping them in making monetary management or decision before one policy announced to the public as a whole. So for the introduction, majority economic scholars agree that exists a relationship between money supply with other indicators of economy such as interest rate, inflation rate, and GDP growth in the long run. A sudden monetary shock in the economy will affect the money supply or interest rate in the economy. It also may influence the rate of inflation or deflation. If money supply increase in the economy that is chasing for the goods and services, the effect of inflationary pressure may set in. However, if the money supply decrease in the economy that is chasing for the goods and services, the effect of deflationary pressure may come into the economy. The monetary shock can come from varying indicators, from the endogenous or exogenous. The monetarists inclined to the fact that money supply has connection to the economic growth. According to Marin, contrary to monetarists, Keynesian implies that neutrality in money supply does not affect the real output in the economy. In the article, the authors focus on impact of monetary variables upon Bosnia and Herzegovina economic growth. The research is conducted from secondary database as collected from Central Bank of Bosnia and Herzegovina in the period 2000 until 2020. The money supply and the inflation depict as an independent variable, explanatory variable, while regularity is considered as dependent variable. The aim is to test the existence of long-term relationship between monetary variables and real growth rate. This paper will also identify the quantify the specific policy link between money supply, inflation, and real economic growth in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Reviews from other researchers also confirm there is existence of long-term relationship between those chosen variables. In comparison, the second article proposed an empirical approach to measure the intervention of monetary authority in the money market with the existence of endogenous variables that change money supply in the economy. The empirical analysis of the Brazilian economy through its monetary management by Brazilian central bank shows that there is liquidity shift caused by the single account TSA balance. The data is recording the liability of the derivative side of the central bank balance sheet and adjusting to payment and receipt from in the bank payment system. Any changes in the moment of TSA balance indicate a reflect exogenous change in the domestic economy may supply, which then lead to adjustment of its transmission mechanism, such as open market operation. Both articles emphasize the previous researches and findings have been made in regard to money supply and to relationship with economic growth, GDP, with other endogenous monetary variables such as interest rate and inflation rate. Bosnia and Herzegovina money system was established on the basis of Dayton Peace Agreement. Under this DPA, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) will play a substantial role in the central bank of Bosnia and Herzegovina monetary policies in the central bank of Bosnia and Herzegovina monetary policy making an appointment of key personnel in the central bank of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The CBB has possessed three most important characteristics of the currency bond, namely a fixed exchange rate against the replacement currency, full coverage of domestic supply with reserve, and free convertibility of domestic money into the replacement currency at a fixed exchange rate. The currency board chooses one of the stable currencies to ensure stability of the domestic currency. The national currency convertible mark BAM is fully pegged to the euro. By employing a fixed exchange rate, the CBBH has the independence in regulating its monetary policy, and the most strategic approach is the required reserve mechanism by which it regulates the rate of bank and the deposit they must maintain in the reserve. The advantage and benefit of monetary committees are monetary discipline and to reduce inflation. Even though the CBBH has all discretion of monetary policies, it still has a limitation to expand the monetary base beyond the level of foreign exchange reserve. Nevertheless, the policy attracts direct foreign investment flow into the country. The fixed exchange rate regime has limited speculative currency volatility, which minimizes foreign exchange risk in currency exchange and international trading. Hence, it enhances and improves foreign direct investment into countries in which we stimulate domestic economy to propel positively. It gives a strong confidence and promote favorable, positive economic conditions. As there is saying, nothing is perfect, and so is the monetary policy, maintaining the credibility and stability of price level in the economy. The currency board acknowledges all the shortcomings by inclusive monetary policy management that steer the domestic economy. Even though the fixed rate shed some light in the currency stability, but many suggested some discretionary monetary policy must be present to offset the rigidity maneuvering macroeconomic adjustment. Furthermore, it lessens the country's competitiveness in the international level, deteriorates the trade balance and current account. Hence, it will harm the domestic growth of the economy. In the case of Brazil economy, the Central Bank of Brazil emphasizes more control towards implementing monetary management in the economy. The monetary policy shows that the important element of monetary management is the ability to control money market conditions in achieving a desired short-term interest rate that serves as intermediate target of monetary policy. Monetary management means a closer look into the behavior of intraday control of the interest rate in the financial system. It is important that monetary management demonstrates a greater control in reducing the level of persistence in the interest rate introduced by central bank. The endogenous variables that change the money supply and to have a disciplining effect in the money market. The central bank considers its role in the daily money market activity as profit maximizers. As part of it is to keep the market interest close to its target level. The lending rate between the banks and banking reserve reflect its accordance to the central bank intervention in the money market. The authors provide empirical methods to examine the reaction and intervention of a monetary authority in response to changes in the money supply. Although the aim is specifically to observe change in the asset balance, but this empirical method can be used to examine the evaluation of monetary management and the general changes in money supply vice versa to international capital inflows, banking reserve holding, and the consumer cash holding deposit ratio. The authors indicate the research is relevant to the current central bank operation for some significant reasons. Firstly, the proposed empirical methods allow one to implicitly measure whether monetary intervention cost is negligible or not. Secondly, the findings suggest that monetary authority indeed facts significant money market intervention costs. And lastly, it delivers better understanding to people on how monetary policy is implemented under costly monitoring. This will help the monetary authority to disregard uncertainties caused by variation in market interest in response to change in money supply in the economy. Thus, the interest target level is accomplished. The central bank has adopted a fixed exchange rate regime from 1995 to 1999. During the fixed exchange rate regime period, the central bank determines the exchange rate with reference to US dollar with some allowable percentage deviation on both sides of the central rate. The central bank has no discretion in implementing its monetary policy, has to choose the best interest rate of the economy, which varying from its target rate. In addition, the central bank also has to manage economy liquidity and set an interest rate which is more compatible with target exchange rate. By actively in monetary management, the bank can adjust the market liquidity to the exchange rate just through money market operation. The methodology used in this analysis in this comparative analysis article, both articles employ various regression test analysis to seek the relationship between money supply with other monetary variables, either endogenous or exogenous variables. We can observe that both articles have derived functions to support their hypothesis for money supply monetary variables. For Article 1, in the case of Bosnia-Herzegovina, the function as below. GDP equals to function of money supply and inflation. Where is the real growth rate of the gross domestic product? Is the money supply M2, and INF is the annual inflation rate. The impact of inflation and money supply on the real growth rate in Bosnia and Herzegovina in the period 2000 to 2020 is analyzed on the basis of the vector autoregressive model VAR. For Article 2, in the case of Brazil, the function as follows: MT equals to alpha beta IT and change in MT beta change in IT, where MT is the natural logarithm of the nominal money shock MT at the beginning of day T and of the day T, and it is the natural logarithm of 1 plus the nominal interest rate IT at the beginning of the same day. Alpha is a constant and beta is interpreted as the short-run elasticity of money demand. Equation 1 indicates that any change in interest rate reflects change in money stock. Finding and discussion, both articles have depicted significant result in finding the relationship between an effect of money supply and monetary variables. The regression analysis session performed result as follows. For Bosnia and Herzegovina, the authors used the extended full test and the field around to test to check the stationary of time series in levels and after the first regression. The result of the idea are given in the following table. Table shown of the idea is test which indicate that the GDP variable is non-stationary in levels while it becomes stationary at the first regression. Example is I1 at the significant level of 1%. The variable M2 and I and F are stationary in level as, for example, I0 at the significant level of 1%. MS is non-stationary after the first derivative, while the I and F variable is stationary even after differentiation. Constant and trend were used in the analysis of the stationary. The result of the Philip Perron PP stationary test do not deviate greatly from the previously obtained result of the ADF stationary test. Result of the PP stationary test as follows. The result of stationary testing indicate that due to lack of stationary in the level of the GDP variable, it is possible to use the BAR model. Therefore, the existence of co-integration relationship between the observed variable must be examined to further inspect the possibility of developing error correcting models. Before testing the existence of the co-integration relationship, the optimal number of previous value on the basis of which the co-integration between variables is tested must be determined. AIC, HQ, FPE, LR, and AC were used as information criteria for selecting the optimal shift length. The following table shows the result of the testing optimal number of previous value based on the observed for maximum of phase shift. Johnson integration technique is used to determine the existence of integration relationship between the observed variable and testing relationship. We use two previous values of the variable Johnson co-integration test. Johnson co-integration test uses space test and the largest characteristic group test to determine the co-integration between variables. The result of Johnson co-integration test are shown in the following table. Based on the previously presented result of Johnson co-integration technique, or rather based on the space test and test of the largest characteristic root, we reject the null hypothesis R0, which suggests that co-integration relationship between the observed variable doesn't exist. We conclude that 1% level of significance, there exists a long-term link between real growth, money supply, and inflation rates. According to what was found through the previously performed co-integration test, we can conclude that there is one co-integration equation that testifies to the long-running relationship between real growth rate, GDP, money supply, and inflation rate. Conclusions: both economies are unique for the reason monetary approach or monetary management may differ in achieving a target price level or target interest rate. The goal of economic policies is to achieve high economic growth rate and price stability of the national economy. For Bosnia and Herzegovina, the developing country after Civil War outbreak in 1992 until 1995 encounters challenging tasks for the monetary authority to pick up and accelerate posting high GDP growth and maintain economic competitiveness amongst members in the Euro economic bloc. The Central Bank of Bosnia and Herzegovina is employing a fixed exchange rate regime, which definitely brings about advantages as well as disadvantages in which pegging the BM to euro dollar. To Bosnia and Herzegovina, under the fixed exchange regime, it helps to stabilize the price level in the economy, maintain competitive interest rate amongst the banking sector. However, to some school of economic thought, a prolonged period of fixed exchange rate can reduce international economic competitiveness, which in the long run will harm domestic and international trade. In the first article, the author proposed a new empirical method to examine how money management can be conducted using endogenous variables to observe changes in money supply. The importance of monetary management is crucial in delivering an effective policy to accommodate monetary shock in economy. The direction of central bank in forecasting the expansionary or contractionary push the economy will give the monetary authority a readiness to react instantaneously upon monetary shock in the economy from each other. The main advantage of currency board is monetary discipline and the reduction of inflation. Since the discussion of monetary authority is limited by rule that prevent the spread of the monetary base outside the level of foreign exchange reserve. With the application economic technique like VEC model, co-integration analysis, innovation analysis, and based on impulse response function, variance decomposition as well as causality test, the final desired result are achieved. There exists a long-term relationship between the endogenous monetary variables and economic growth of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The results show a link between money supply, inflation rates, and economic growth, which is positive and statistically significant in the long run. We confirm the initial hypothesis of the paper, which state that there is ultimate positive impact on money supply and inflation and the real economic growth of Bosnia and Herzegovina. However, Brazil focuses on monetary management in treasury single account operation of the Central Bank of Brazil. Any changes of movement in the TSA balance lead to endogenous changes in the economy, money supply when the government is receiving tax revenues or when the government is paying the emolument to civil servants. Since TSA credit and debts are not synchronized, changes in TSA balance are the factors causing the changes in money stock. TSA operation gives the central bank insight observation how the money is stored intraday daily transaction reflect the variation of intraday interest. From the database, the central bank will then control the monetary available through monetary management. Any sudden monetary shock happen, the economy will give monetary authority to decide which monetary approaches can be employed with fiscal comparison estimated in the TSM money stock balance, either with large or small changes. Moreover, either small changes or large changes, TSM balance will imply changes in money stock by employing empirical analysis and monetary management. The author proposed a new empirical procedure to examine how monetary management is effectively employed using endogenous variables that move the money supply in the economy. The chosen variable and comparison instrument used in empirical analysis show how significant evidence that corroborates the anticipated standard reaction of central bank to monetary shock. With that, I thank you. This paper is a result from the academic exercise for APPE 6124 Monetary Economics at the Faculty of Economics and Management, University of Malaysia.